Welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventures podcast here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett. This week's show is brought to you by Trico Pro from Helena. Don't let deer and other wildlife destroy your crops. Trico Pro is a dual mode of action repellent that safeguards crop investments. Visit helenaagra.com to learn more. Joining me on the program this week is Josh Teulker. We've had him on in the past from Indiana. Isn't that right, Josh?
That's right. Southern Indiana.
Southern Indiana. Cool. Well, it's good to have you back on the show here. I think we had you on maybe last year during deer season. I'm trying to remember back. But Josh hosts the Before the Echo show that you can watch on YouTube. And so, Josh, good to hear from you, man. How's things been?
Things have been great, man. Turkey season's over now here, but other than that, things are good.
You know, it's funny, the last time we had you on, when I introduced you, I'm pretty sure I botched the name of your show, which I watch your show and really enjoy your program. I think I said Beyond the Echo, and then I started thinking, well, why did I keep saying that? And way back when in college, I used to host a college radio show on the student station called Beyond the Game. And I think just my brain went in autopilot, and that just came out for some reason. I don't know if it was the cadence or what, but anyways, apologies about that.
No, don't worry about it.
Well, hey, we have a lot of stuff going on here. It's prime fishing time. We've been out with our kids doing some fishing. We have 3 kids, all under 6 years old. And like you said, turkey season just wrapping up. And just kind of off the top, I've got deer on my mind, man. It's been a while since we've had a deer segment. And are you thinking about deer hunting at this time?
Oh, dude, yeah. Turkey hunting it's something I like to do, and it's fun, but it's not really a passion of mine. It's something I can kind of take or leave. Like I probably went in Indiana here just a few times throughout the whole season. It's a short season, but deer hunting is something I pretty much think about all year round here. To a certain extent. Yeah, I was actually thinking about maybe putting out some minerals or something here in the next couple of weeks, and just start gathering information and keep her moving for next season.
Kind of like you, here in Iowa, I didn't really get a chance to do much turkey hunting. In fact, finally there in the last kind of couple of days of season, I went out for the very first time. I didn't see any turkeys. I heard some gobbling way off in the distance and was never really in the game. But I will say that morning that I went out, I went to a new piece of public nearby where I live that I'd never been to before. And that morning, just after daylight, a big group of does came by within bow range and was just feeding in this little clearing just outside of the timber I was at. And then about 15 minutes later, here comes a single deer by itself, and it was already poking up through. It was a buck, and you could see his antlers already coming up and seeing a little bit of velvet and starting to form, and he came within bow range as well. And that just kind of got me fired up and thinking, man, I need archery season to get here.
Yeah, definitely a good day of turkey hunting to me.
Absolutely. And it made me think, though, I kind of kept a mental note like, man, I'm going to remember this spot for next year because it was kind of a nice ground setup, and they were just walking by and didn't even know I was there.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, hey, what are you kind of scouting for at this time of the year? Are you putting trail cameras out at this point, or is it too early in the game for that?
I always have trail cameras out, whether that just be kind of on accident or letting things that I've been letting soak from the previous season still good, getting around and collecting those things. But right now it's a little bit tough because obviously we're like in full green up around here in southern Indiana. And also you got to be careful with scouting this time of year, just because, the does are dropping fawns, just starting to drop fawns, and, the bucks are getting back into that heavy summer pattern, and some of the sign can be deceiving, if it's a really wet spring or got a lot of rain, deer are going to lay down a lot of sign, but that sign isn't where the deer are probably going to be during the deer season, depending on where, when you open, like here in Indiana or in Iowa, we get that October 1st opening, or that beginning of October opening. More than likely, bucks aren't going to be where they're at right now. And does seem to be kind of just in random spots trying to find a good place to have little ones. So that's the only bad part about, scouting this time of year. I'll be honest with you, outside of getting out some minerals and whatnot, and you obviously have to be careful with regulations there on what you can and can't do with minerals, depending on where you're at listening to this. But I don't do a lot other than that for deer until we get back into like July, and then I start really paying attention, trying to figure out, what bucks live, what bucks are in the area. Obviously, from July to October, there's a lot that can change too. But at least that time of the year, you can kind of start maybe recognizing bucks or being like, hey, yeah, this is going to be a good one. And then from there, you got to kind of make decisions on what you're going to do in the fall.
I feel like it's kind of an interesting.
This time of year, it's springtime, and I try to focus on family for the most part right now.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's an interesting time of the year for deer movement because, like, I drive quite a bit, covering events for my role here at Brownfield, covering farm events and stuff across the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
And, you'll just be driving down the road at noon or 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And, just here recently, I saw a doe and a couple other smaller fawns out in the crop field, and there wasn't any cover in sight, Josh. It's like, here they are out in the middle of nowhere, standing up midday, and I'm thinking, well, where the heck they come from?
Yeah. You got to remember too, just like, like humans are, whenever they got little ones, they're burning a lot more energy, need a lot more calories to kind of satisfy the nutritional needs for breast, for feeding, those little ones this time of year too. So it seems like does are just random right now. Like I said, like they're just out and about trying to keep things away from their fawns and also find enough food and whatnot. So another thing here is, well, obviously this is an ag show with Brownfield here, is like, man, right now there is actually not as much food as you would think for them, with the amount of, a lot of farmers have sprayed in the last month and the fields are in peak brown right now. We're starting to, things are starting to pop through. But all that vegetation they had during, March, April that were out in the fields is kind of brown as can be right now. So it's concentrating them to certain areas a little bit more.
No, yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about something like that would really reduce the amount of food that they have available for them at this part of the year. You mentioned a little bit ago on your last answer, kind of as you concluded, about kind of spending time with family right now. And you have kids, I have kids. I've talked about them on the show a lot. I feel like every week I have one of my kids with me in the YouTube thumbnail of the episode with a fish we caught or something we're doing. And so how do you manage your time, Josh? Like, I know with your show that you have on the internet and all the episodes that you put out and the traveling you do, how do you maximize your minutes in the woods when you have your time at home and your time in the woods?
Well, there's not as much time as there used to be, but there is a really good philosophy about if you want to get something done, you ask someone that's busy to do it, and it seems like the less time you have, the more organized you have to be with your time and kind of plan things out. And I got a boy that's 5, and then we have a year and a half old too, a boy. And for one, I have a very supportive wife of my hobby and my show, and then which that's very important. If a lot of some people aren't as lucky as me and don't have that, and that's okay. Like deer hunting is pretty low on my priority list when it's all said and done. But for us, what I've been doing the last couple of years with having kids is, man, like during the week, we'll sit down, me and my wife, that is, and kind of talk over like, hey, what night do you think you want to go deer hunting this week? And, I look at, some forecast, whether that be if you can just do it yourself, looking at weather channels and whatnot, or there's all kinds of apps now that kind of help you forecast maybe what would be the best day that week to be out in the woods. I think the juries have a good good app that helps with that. Now, like, do I completely believe in those things and think that you can't kill a deer unless the conditions are just perfect? Like the app says, well, no, of course not. Like you can kill deer anytime, but if you only have like a few days, I try to pick the days that are going to put the most odds in my favor, whether that be, the right moon phase or a cold front's coming through or whatever the case may be. So that's what we do. Sit down. The wife will be like, what days do you want to go deer hunting? Or what days would be best for you to be out there deer hunting? And, it's not an option anymore to just go every night like used to when I was young. So I pick out a few days and those are the days I go. And then another thing that we, make sure whenever I'm not deer hunting is, let my wife, she likes to play volleyball and she likes to go to yoga classes and things like that. So make sure that she gets to do what she wants to do as well. And me get to spend some time with the boys. I try to include the boys as much as I can on stuff. They're at the age right now where it's a little bit rough, just because the 5-year-old attention span's not quite there to be out deer hunting. And then the 1.5-year-old is definitely not there yet. But we always try to include them in things we can, whether that be, bouncing around, doing something in the woods quick, or, I've taken my 5-year-old out a couple times. He's not real kicked in the butt about it just yet, but try not to push them either into doing things that they really don't want to do, and drive them away from the outdoors.
Yeah, I haven't taken any of my kids hunting yet. Like I said, 3 of them under 6, but I've introduced them to fishing first, and man, they've really taken on to it. Do you take your kids fishing at all?
Oh yeah, man. We got a boat and we spend a lot of time out fishing. Something that I didn't do. I grew up fishing very heavily. My grandpa was a big fisherman, and I fished up until, we had a boat. We had a bass boat up until, I don't know, whenever I was in my mid-20s. We got married and had kids. When we started having kids, we got rid of it right before that. But, fishing's always been a big part of my life. The last 5 years, 6 years, it hadn't been just because of time issues. I had to give up. You can't do everything. So I kind of gave up going fishing in the summertime a whole bunch. But my 5-year-old is really into it now. So this year we've really started fishing a lot again. Me and my wife actually bought another fishing boat. So we spent this weekend out on the lake fishing. So yeah, we fish a lot. That's a really good activity to get kids into. My son's into, he wants to catch species. So he's like, I caught a bluegill, I've caught a bass, I caught a catfish, and he caught a crappie this weekend. So he's trying to add up all the Indiana slam of fish species we have.
I love it. That's awesome. We've gotten bluegill this year, crappie, bass, 1 striper in there. We're still on a mission to get that first catfish of the year. We just must not be hitting the right spots. We live really close to Lake Red Rock, the biggest lake in Iowa. Okay. We're only a couple miles from it. And so just this last weekend, Josh, I kid you not, we were down there at a nice little access point where we could fish right next to the water. You can drive right up to it. And, my son had his bobber and night crawler not too far off the shoreline out there sitting, and he walked away for a little bit to go throw rocks and stuff. And he's 4. And then my 2-year-old daughter, who was next to me, she picks up his little Ninja Turtles pole and just messing with it, and she's kind of reeling it, not really knowing what she's doing. And I saw that bobber take off, and I'm like, holy cow. Yeah. And then the pole just started to bend over in her hand, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, she just set the hook on something on accident. And we ended up grabbing that pole, and it bent clear over, and I thought it was going to bust in half. And we got the fish in. It was about a 3.5 to 4 pound largemouth bass. I kid you not. I could not believe that thing was able to not break that little Walmart Ninja Turtles fishing pole. It was insane, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, my son's catfish, it was vaguely his doing. Like, I think he reeled it in for a few turns, and that was about it. But he counts it, so I counted, I guess.
Hey, I'd count it as well. Chalk it up. Yeah.
That's right.
Sweet. Well, hey, as we kind of wind down here, any final thoughts you'd have on this as far as introducing kids to the outdoors and just that family time?
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on it. I think, as husbands or fathers or men or whatever, we have a responsibility to be, the leaders of the household, and hunting, which is what we're talking about for the most part here today, is like, it's a very selfish thing that we partake in. It's your wife or your kids really don't care about your hunting, right? Like they're going to love you no matter what. And I think we got to make sure, as something I'm trying to do better at is make sure that we're prioritizing our wives and our kids over our, kind of selfish need to go deer hunting. And it's just not everything in life. And you'll have time once your kids are grown to do all the deer hunting you want again. And, people that are your real friends and your real family, they don't, they're not going to care if you don't kill a big buck this year or you do. But if you're not there for your kids growing up, or your wife's mad at you for the entire time that you're raising your kids, that's not good. So just make sure your priorities are straight this deer season if you're a dad or if you're a husband. And if you're not, man, have at it,
Great stuff as always. Good points there, man. Good to have you on, and best of luck this year. And we'll be paying attention to the Before the Echo show.
Thanks, man.
Sounds great. Josh Teulker with us from Indiana. Check out his program Before the Echo on YouTube and give him the like and subscribe button there. I'm Brent Barnett here on Brownfield Ag News. Thanks for watching us here on another edition of Outdoor Adventures.